kids were like in diapers. One was in what they called an infant seat at the time, and the other in a stroller. And most people didn't realize that when I was doing 1 Million Years BC, I had these 2 little babies. But, you know,
boy, I didn't realize
I really didn't give my children a lot of quality time then. I think I had to get almost to middle age before I started really feeling like, oh, I have to make some retribution here. I have to make up for lost time and show them that some of the things that they missed of me are still in my heart, and I can give it to them. Even though, you know, they're not babies anymore. But as far as the family meals, I remember, I've had 3 husbands, but
that's a lot of meals.
Yeah, it's a lot of meals. It's a lot of guys, too, but...
a lot of indigestion.
Some of that, but I remember that Andre, my French husband, when we moved to Beverly Hills, came into my family life for the first time, and it was like Damon was in the refrigerator, and then Tani was saying, oh, and I have to go to this practice, and then she'd grab something and run out, and then I'd come in, and I'd do something, sort of make a little sandwich or something over here on the side, and then he'd come in and say, he was French. He was French, but he would say, what's going on here? Why can't we sit down and have, you know, a normal meal and talk and be a family, you know. He said, I really don't want to play daddy, but I think we should, you know, bond, or he didn't use bond then, you know, we didn't use bonding, but as words to describe what this idea of sitting down to a meal and you're visiting with each other and you're relaxed because you're in company that you feel comfortable with, and you're eating and nourishing yourself, not only with the food, but with your relationship.
Absolutely.
And it helped you, I think, digest the food. And he said, that's what's wrong with this country, and I think he was right, because the priorities are, you know, to work and to achieve and all the things that we love about America, and that certainly I'm a part of that kind of a
and then we
personality,
but
the art of living and the value and the priority of having a life and taking advantage of and nurturing those relationships are just as important as the achievement. And it took me years to really come to that realization myself.
You know what I find fascinating? You've just written a screenplay for a feature film, and it's about a mother-daughter relationship,
That's right.
Again with family, and now as a mom of a little girl and a daughter who had my own relationship with my mom, I'm so interested that you picked that topic of all the ones you could. Why that one?
Well, I do think that there is a very special synergy and a special difficulty between mothers and daughters, because we're women, because we're 2 women, and because particularly now the relationship between the mother and the daughter it's one of love and hate. It's beginning, you know, within a relationship, which I raised my daughter very much as a single parent. And what happens to that relationship from the mother-daughter thing to the competitiveness and the rejection that they have to reject you in order to be their own personality. But what happens in trying to reject a woman of the 80s and 90s as a mother is it's harder to reject us because we've done a lot. You know, I mean, seriously, we had more freedom than, say, my mother had. And so we become more formidable. And so I think that rather than just rejection, they try to kill us at one point. You know, I mean, they really try to do us in because they need to make room for themselves, saying, hey, my generation, you know, I'm the young one here. It gets to be my arena. I get to shine. What are you doing still shining?
Well, one
would you give over?
Exactly.
Would you play
Get off
dead?
there, Raquel, already.
Right, exactly. Play dead for a while.
Well, one group that doesn't reject you certainly is your fans. We sent Debbie out to, you didn't know this, backstage at Victor Victoria to catch up with some of your fans. We want to show you this before we go to segment 3. Take a look.
We're waiting for Raquel Welch to come on out.
Raquel, we love you.
Okay, well, what are you doing right here, right now?
Right here waiting to see Raquel Welch. I gotta wait for her. You know, I can't miss this chance.
Why are you waiting here?
Because I love Raquel.
I love you, Rocky.
Oh.
Do you ever get used to that?
I don't know that I ever get used to it, but I have to tell you that it's very touching to me that, you know, people will wait in the street and, you know, just to say hello.
You're worth it.
I think.
They're going to wait for segment 3, I bet. Stick around because Raquel is coming back to answer our question of the day.
Here's today's question. If you could be any man, living or dead, for a day, who would it be?
woman who has always spoken her mind, and you know I really admire that, Ms. Raquel Welch. We love that. Now listen, a lot of fantastic women who are not 20-something, if you will, are doing sitcoms. You know, we have Sybil Shepherd and Candace Bergen.
Yes.
What about you, Miss Fabulous One, which we all do agree with?
Well, I would love to do a sitcom because I really thought that some of my best work in films was the comedy that I did, Three Musketeers and things like that, and then Woman of the Year on Broadway was definitely a comedy. So I'm very much sort of aiming in that direction. I'm going to do Spin City with Michael J. Fox, who I know you all know around here.
He was on
Next week. And, of course, I did the Seinfeld show this year, and I did another thing that was really a fun show for me called Sabrina the Teenage Witch, where I did a kind of
I love that show.
Yeah, anti-Mame kind of a character. And just trying to, it's almost like starting my career all over again, trying to get people to realize and remember, hey, you know, she can do comedy.
I wanted to ask you about that. First of all, we are all going out and buying fishnet stockings. Can you see Raquel's stock? Raquel, you started out being known as the sex symbol. People still talk. She's so sexy. She looks so great. The first thing people talk about when they talk about you is how great you look. Or maybe you don't look so great, or you do look so great. You know, all of...
What does she look like? I don't know. They want to get a close-up view.
Let me tell you, we're close-up. She looks great. Is it a joy or a burden to be a sex symbol? Do men want you more or less? Is it tell us.
Yes. You know, I think it's a joy and a burden. You know, there's many things that come with it that are very flattering and boost up my morale and make me feel, gee, this is a great gig, you know, to be Raquel Welch. And there's other parts of it that are just threatening to me because it's a really tough image to live up to, and it's high maintenance, and it's a lot of extra effort, you know. At the gym, in front of the mirror, with a diet, the whole thing, all the time to maintain. But by the same token, a lot of other women who are not sex symbols are going through that anyway, because I really do believe that to be a sex symbol is, let's say, the symbol part of it means that you're some kind of representing some kind of ideal to people. And that ideal is something about womanhood. And to be a woman, it takes an art to be a woman. You know, I think there is an art to being a woman, more so than there is in the male department.
And you are leading me right into the question of the day. I'm telling you, way to go. The question of the day has to do with that. I mean, you've actually played some fabulous men also in your career, which was kind of cool. One time. So the question of the day for us is, if you could be any man, living or dead, for a day, who would you be?
Well, I have to choose Mark Antony.
Okay.
Yes, and the reason for that is very specific. I'm somewhat of a romantic at heart, and I always wondered, from a male point of view, what it would be like to be inside the male psyche of a really strong warrior, you know, virile man, and see what it was like to be in love with the Queen of Egypt. Cleopatra.
Yeah.
Because I've always, you know, you talked about the liabilities of, you know, what men relate, how men might relate to me because of my sex symbolism, even though it's long past.
Yeah, right.
I think that it's, I would like, you know, to really get inside and find out what that experience is to be with a powerful woman that has some status and some influence and wealth and accomplishment. And so I'd love to be Mark Antony and find out what does that feel like from a man's point of view. I'd love to get inside that head.
That's cool, actually.
That's offbeat.
I know. I mean, I hadn't thought about that.
I thought it was so
So neat. Double female.